Men, just like anyone else, face personal challenges they may not want to discuss openly. I'm going to be talking about this for the next 7 weeks. But in this video, I will highlight some of the common issues that men deal with privately. I want to welcome you to today's Man podcast, and to all of you that are watching the live recording, I want to say welcome to you. Those of you that are listening on the audio, thank you for being subscribers. Thank you for following. Thank you for your support over the years. I really appreciate it. Now, for the next 7 weeks, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to be talking about what men deal with every day and not openly discuss it. And I know for myself, there are a lot of things that I deal with personally that I don't share with anyone. And it's very rarely that I'll share them with my wife. Now, I trust my wife, but I keep it inside and I suppress it. And I know as men, we suppress a lot of things, and it's not good because health-wise, if we are suppressing a lot of things, it's not good for our mental state. It's not good for our health. And we really need to find someone that we can talk to and we can really open up to, that we trust. And I understand there's not a lot of people that we're able to trust nowadays, because they'll take our information, they'll take what we've disclosed with them in a private setting and share it on video, share it on Facebook, share it in their message, share it in a preaching session, and they'll just bombard the social media with our private discussions. And this is why that we as men, we don't want to share. We don't want to talk about certain things. I even see people on social media, they'll go on other platforms and hear a certain thing and they'll make a message out of it. They'll see something on another platform on social media and they will preach about it. They will preach about you. They'll preach about your family. They'll preach about your posts. And I feel that certain things should be kept private and discussed one-on-one. If you have a problem with someone, I feel that you ought to be able to go to them and talk to them and open your heart and says, hey, there's something that you shared that you really shouldn't have shared, and you should have kept that to yourself. But with that being said, today, what I want to do is we're going to be highlighting 7 topics that we'll be discussing for the next 7 weeks. So please be sure to come back each Tuesday for a new topic. And I'm going to be highlighting in this video, in this podcast, what we're going to be talking about. In week 1, we're going to talk about emotional expression. And with emotional expression, societal expectations sometimes discourage us men from openly expressing our emotions, leading to internal struggles and dealing with feelings like sadness, anxiety, and vulnerability. So that's what we're going to be discussing in week 1. Week 2, we're going to talk about work-life balance. Balancing a career and personal life can be very challenging. Those of you that work, those of you that have families, those of you that have children, it can be a very balancing struggle in your personal life. So even as men may grapple with the pressure to be successful in their professions while also wanting to fulfill family and personal responsibilities. So that's what we're going to be discussing in week 2. Now, in week 3, we're going to talk about self-esteem and body image. It's important to have self-esteem as a man, and it's important to keep your body in good shape. Men may experience insecurities about their physical appearance. Now, you probably wouldn't have that problem if you didn't overeat. And I know that in these insecurities about your personal appearance, it can lead to issues related to body image and self esteem. Stereotypes and societal expectations may make this worse. So be sure to come back on week 3 when we talk about self esteem and body image. Now, week 4. Week 4, we're going to talk about mental health stigma. There's often a stigma around men seeking help for mental health issues. Some may hesitate to discuss feelings of depression, stress, and other mental health concerns due to fear of judgment. Man, this is serious. I did a series on depression not too long ago. You might have to go back through the archives of our podcast on Today's Man and find the series I did on depression. And this is something that we as men deal with as well. Depression. There's times that I'm depressed, and it's not a sin to be depressed. That's just a part of life. It's just a part of some of the things that we deal with, that we get depressed sometimes. But I want to encourage you as a man, be sure to go to God, seek God when you feel yourself being depressed, when you feel yourself being sad, when you feel yourself feeling angry, when you feel like you're not yourself. Seek God. Go into your prayer closet and really lay before God and seek Him on that. That's very important. All right. In week 5, we're going to talk about relationship challenges. Men face difficulties in relationships as it is, whether it's communication issues, navigating conflicts, or even grappling with societal expectations regarding masculinity within a partnership. A lot of men have issues with masculinity, even with their wives. And this can be a big problem, especially if she teases you for whatever reason in your private time, in your sexual experiencing with your wife. She might tease. And that's not a good thing, ladies. If you're listening, don't tease your man about certain things. And it's important for us as men to address some of the relationship challenges that we have in our marriage, in our relationship with our wives, because I understand that the world, it's all about how you perform. It's all about how you look. It's all about how you feel. It's all about how you sound. But here's something that you and your wife can discuss in private, how you can please one another. Now, I have a daughter that has a very, very successful podcast, very successful website called Spiced Wife. Now that's for the women, and there are some men that actually go in and listen to that, and she helps in areas of intimacy from a biblical standpoint. Very powerful stuff. I'm telling you, I'm very proud of what she's doing and how God is blessing her platform and blessing her ministry in that area of helping wives in the bedroom. It's called Spiced Wife. And I say, if you listen to that, you need to have your manhood in check. You need to know that you're going to be checked in there. But it's helping a lot of women understand sexuality in the home, in the bedroom with their husbands from a biblical standpoint. All right. Week 6, we're going to talk about fatherhood challenges. Fathers may have concerns about meeting expectations as parents, juggling work and family life, and providing emotional support for their children. I'm a big one on this. As a dad, I love my children dearly. And this is something that I've taught my children how to be good parents. I started out as a single father for many years, and God has blessed me to raise three grown children that love the Lord. One of them already has children of her own. She has three children. And because of what I was able to instill within them from a biblical standpoint, from a father standpoint, they now stand on the same principles, stand on the same, I guess you would say, biblical standards that I taught them. I wasn't strict. Now, I did have my times of letting them know there were certain things you cannot do while you're in daddy's house. Now, you want to do certain things, you get your own place and be happy and go on with your life. But while you're in my home, there's going to be certain things you can and cannot do. And I taught certain biblical aspects to my children. Now, when I married my wife, presently, it brought together a family of 7 children. She had 4, I had 3, but there wasn't really any blendedness. Well, I can't say that because there is blendedness. When you come together and one has a family and the other has a family, that's blended, regardless of however you think about it. It's blended. Whether they're still in the home or not, you're still having some type of relationship with them. And it was a struggle for me at first. I might have to do a podcast on blended families and the struggles that are in a blended family household and how to overcome some of the struggles there, because my children come from a very saved atmosphere. There was no compromising. There was no let down. The music you listened to in my home was gospel, Christian. There was no compromise in that area. I did not want any of those secular musics in my home. I didn't want that in my house because I knew it set a certain atmosphere. Now, as far as movies, there's a big debate on movies. I don't really like some of the Christian movies that are out. They're kind of boring. They're kind of a dud. Now, I'm just being real. So there are a lot of movies that I will watch, but I'm very careful in what I watch in front of my children because, hey, even on regular cable channels, they are showing a lot of things that should not be shown in a family setting. But even in the blended family household, I had to come in, and how I taught my children, I was bringing that same type of structure in the home with my wife's kids. And they had to learn that their stepdad, they call me Pops. Well, I don't compromise. You're not going to jump in my car and turn the channel and listen to the music that you want to listen to. No, I feel that if you are riding in someone else's car, you have to give them the respect you listen to the music that they listen to because that's their car. Well, they all know that when you jump into Pop's truck, you're going to listen to my music. You get your headphones and you listen to what you want to listen to. But even with that, fatherhood challenges. We have to set a standard in the home. We have to set a precedent in the house as the spiritual leader of the home. And so, again, that's something that we can touch on later on in other podcasts. In week 7, we're going to talk about loneliness. Now, despite having social connections, you might have 1,000 followers. You might have 10,000 followers. I don't know. Even in the social media world, men might experience loneliness, especially if they feel they can't openly discuss their feelings or vulnerabilities with friends or family. So this is why it's important that we discuss this in our podcast, loneliness. There's times that when I'm alone, I have bouts with loneliness, but it's not that type of loneliness to where I'm going to be seeking out anyone to fulfill that other than my wife and God. And even though you are alone, doesn't mean that you're lonely. But there are certain things that we need to address as men when it comes to loneliness and feeling vulnerable in that loneliness. And that's what I want to discuss in our upcoming 7 weeks of dealing with things that we as men don't openly discuss. Now, encouraging open conversation and reducing societal expectations around traditional masculinity. This can contribute to a breakdown in many of these barriers that I talked about. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack that. I'm not going to be before you long. You know me from past experience. My podcast, I'm not going to keep you for an hour. It's very rare that I'll keep you for 45 minutes to a half an hour max. Now, creating safe spaces for men to discuss these issues, I want it to be instrumental in fostering understanding and support for you men. I want you to be able to come to this space and feel safe. I want you to be able to come to this area and this surroundings and know that you are safe and you can talk. You can open up and just let it all hang out. So remember, meet me right back here each Tuesday as we explore and unpack some very important issues that we as men deal with but do not openly discuss. So again, remember to meet me right back here as we explore some of the very important issues that we as men deal with on a daily basis, but we don't really talk about and discuss. So next week, our very first week, we'll be discussing emotional expression. And until then, be blessed. Tell a friend. Invite someone to Today's Man podcast. We'll see you soon.